We are on the prowl today for some Jaguars here at number 10, Jacksonville Duval, baby. This is a football team that has so much talent. They're loaded in some positions, and they really do have a chance. This could be their Super Bowl year. We shall see if Trevor Lawrence takes that next jump. We'll find this out real quick, but let's get into this roster, talk about each positional rankings, and whether or not they've got the beans, the juice to do this in Duval. Liam Cohen is the head coach, great head coach. And starting with this tackle room, you got Cole Van Lanen, who is back now off the pup list, ready to go for the season. Huge, huge, huge. Anton Harrison was one of the better tackles in the NFL towards the end of the season. Some of the run blocks that he had on the move were just, oh man, it was like a chicken parm dinner with salmon, and I don't know, that doesn't make, that's not the right combination, but different time frames, all should I say, with some oatmeal. Yeah, on the rest of this room, though, pretty much set with Walker Little being the backup. And then Chuma Adoga is going to be on the bubble. If they only keep 9 offensive linemen, they may not keep Chuma. And he's also got some inside out versatility. Overall, tackle ranking at number 14, I certainly think it's an above average unit in the NFL. On to the interior offensive line now. And Emmanuel Pregnon is the big talk of the town. He's been fantastic thus far in preseason. He looks like a locked-in starter, a huge, huge pickup for the Jags in the draft, a third-round selection. You got Robert Hainsey returning as the starting center, which is a good free agent signing last go-around. And now you got Ezra Cleveland, still the veteran now on this in this room with Patrick McCarry being injured, and that's a huge blow. I will say McCarry is a great player. He's an underrated player in my opinion. So losing him is going to be significant. With Emmanuel Pregnon though coming in the way he's looking right now, I think this should be still a stable room, and I still think it's above average in the NFL, and that's why I rank this at 14. In terms of who ends up making the roster, I would give it to the Mountaineer, Daniel Falalele. They did give up a late-round pick for him. I suspect that he will make the roster and give them good depth, and they could always work something out if McCarry comes back later in the season. Wyatt Millum might be on the bubble even a little bit. He's not looked great. I expect him to make the roster. Overall, he's got to continue to improve. Jonah Monheim has been okay as well. And those are the 3 guys that I feel confident should make the roster, especially with McCarry being on IR. And then if you keep 4 tackles, that would be 10. But if you only keep 3 tackles, then we got 9 offensive linemen. And if they only keep 9 offensive linemen, it does open up possibly another wide receiver to be kept. I rank this room at number 8. It's a very good room. I do count in Travis Hunter a little bit in this room, but it's led by Parker Washington, their number 1 wide receiver, or at least last season he was their number 1. And the chemistry he has with Trey T-Law, Trevor Lawrence is spectacular. And I expect that to continue here for all you fantasy folks. Jacoby Myers, the scary Myers man, is coming over to Duval last season in a trade from the Raiders, and he has just excelled. He's thrived. He's a great blocker too. He all around is that submittant of Duval. You got Brian Thomas Jr. looking for a little bounce back season this year for sure. And their depth is great too. I mentioned Travis Hunter, but you got Josh Cameron, a draft pick, CJ Williams, draft pick. Both have looked good in preseason. The guy that's been most impressive, the Penn State UDFA, Trevor Pena. He has been fantastic. I would personally give him a roster spot. I'd find a way to put him on the roster. Whatever you got to do, keep the 6 wide receivers. He's earned the spot. I really like him quite a bit. Maybe they found another dude from Penn State and Trevor Pena. Overall, that's their room. It's really, really good. Tight end also really looking promising here with Brenton Strange, who I think is still an underrated player in the NFL. Just got to stay healthy this season. You got Nate Borkature, who comes in here. He's got some good receiving, good hands, and he also has some inline duties there at Texas A&M, but the hands were really on display at the Senior Bowl. This football team loves the Senior Bowl. You can tell they highly view that as a big-time draft thing for this team, but Berkature was one of the stars there, and he should be an impact for them early on. Tanner Koziel, kind of the red zone threat. He did miss his one opportunity in preseason in that regard. However, I expect them to get him going along the way here, along the roads. The big question is, do they keep 4 tight ends? And that also comes down to how many offensive linemen do they keep, how many wide receivers. I would rather keep Trevor Pena than keep one of these tight ends. Now, they're going to want to run 12 personnel. I know that's a big thing here for Liam Cohen in this offense. Ultimately, though, if you're looking to do that, you're going to have a competition between Morris and Long. Whether they go with Morris or Long will be a big question here, and it'll come down to, I think, who they feel is the more consistent blocking inline guy, which I would probably give to Morris as of right now. On to the running back room, I rank it at 32. I know it is last in the NFL. It really just comes down to some uncertainty. LaQuint Allen possibly could be out for a little bit to start the season. You got Bayshaw Tootin. He looked good in a change of pace role last season. That speed is there. Chris Rodriguez comes over from the Commanders. He ran hard and he is a punisher between the tackles. I expect him to be the workhorse between the tackles, and then Bayshaw will be the change of pace workhorse. Now, I still suspect Tootin to get a heavy workload and whatnot. They're going to rotate these guys in, and it's a good 1-2 punch. The power, the speed combo between Rodriguez and Tootin is really, really nice. Rodriguez has worked on his fumbling issue, so that's huge. But LaQuint Allen can work down as that receiving back. It's a good room still, and that's where it's just tough to say. Like, even though it's ranked 32, I'm not really that worried about it. It's just something that, in general, it should be fine. And in terms of who makes the roster as a fourth guy, especially if LaQuint Allen starts the season on the PUP or an IR sort of thing, which I don't think he'll need to, but Amir Abdullah would be my guess. I think he's played the best out of any of these other guys. DJ Dallas just had a fumble. Jamari Taylor's not been crazy or anything like that. And I could see him being a practice squad candidate for this football team. Abdullah also gives you some return ability if they wanted to do that and have Parker Washington get some, break and whatnot. So Abdullah certainly gives you some help there as well. Quarterback conversation. I rank this at number 10. Trevor Lawrence, T-Law. Look at that photo. Look at those eyes. Look at the hair. Look at the Duval. But we're all here with T-Law. The big question is, who is the backup if he gets injured? I mean, T-Law has had some injuries, and the fact of the matter is I don't feel great about anybody in this room at backup. Now, Nick Mullins, a solid player and whatnot, hasn't looked great in preseason at times when he's got opportunities. I would love for him or to have a little bit more competition in this room. Joey Aguilar has not been terrible, but at the same time, I don't feel comfortable with that. Carter Bradley has really struggled, Gus Bradley's son. So maybe he's more of a practice squad candidate right now. I do think this is an area that they could keep an eye out on the waivers just in case if a name comes available to be able to pick somebody up there. But you're your starter, clearly, franchise quarterback. Defensively wise, number 12, the edge rushing ranking. It really comes down to some of the depth here, but you got two really good starters with Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker. I do list Dennis Gardeck as an edge, but he's kind of like his hybrid Sam linebacker, edge rusher, pass rushing specialist guy. And besides that, you got Wesley Williams, Danny Stigro, and BJ Green. I think this is pretty straightforward on who they keep. Now, if they want to keep a sixth guy, if you want to count Dennis Gardeck as an edge or as a linebacker, that's always kind of a little stipulation there. But anyway, if you want to keep seven, if you count Dennis Gardeck, Brian Thomas would be the other guy. I think he's going to be a practice squad guy. Same thing with Zach Dufay. Ultimately, though, Green, Stigro have both been pretty solid in preseason. Nothing crazy. Green's been able to rush on the inside, too, for this defensive line, number 95, I believe, if I remember correctly. Wesley Williams, I haven't seen much of him thus far. I don't know if he's out there making a ton of plays. Stigro, I've seen him make some plays here and there so far in preseason. Overall, the room is good with your starters. Just hopefully the injuries can avoid it here because the depth is still a little up and down, and they haven't gotten tons of pass rush in preseason thus far. And that's one of the areas I'm a little concerned about. It's just some of the depth on this defense. They have not looked very good in preseason. And the defensive line, same thing here. They've just kind of struggled in the pass rush department and getting a lot of pressure, even stopping their run at times in preseason thus far. But when you get Eric Armstead and Devon Hamilton out there as your starters, it should be in a pretty good spot. Now, I've seen Albert Regis make some plays so far in preseason. Ruger Roro has been okay and whatnot. I still want to see more from him. But he should make the roster. I think Mac Dickerson will also make the roster. I think you keep 5 guys here, so it'd be 5 and 5 if you don't count Gardeck, which would be a total of 10 guys on the defensive line for this football team. And I do rank this defense attack room at number 31. It's not the greatest room, and I do think it's an area that should be something they need to try to upgrade this offseason still. They've been trying to, I imagine. Like, if there's something they obviously Ruka Roro trade, Albert Regis draft. But ultimately, I still think this is an area that they're going to have to look at heavily in this next draft class. And I also think it's going to put some pressure on this linebacking core, which I rank at number 19. It's held up by Foyesada Luakan, a great linebacker. But losing Devin Lloyd will be a big loss for this team. It goes from being probably the best linebacking core in the NFL to a mid-tier. It's still solid. Ventrell Miller and Jack Kaiser are going to be trying to fill in that role here. And between those two guys, I feel like Miller has looked pretty dang good. Kaiser's dealing with some injuries right now, so there's that. Branson and Combs is a guy to watch out for sure. Azir Abdullah is more of a special teams guy. I feel like he struggled a bit in preseason, but he gives you a lot on special teams, so there's that. Parker Hughes probably going to be a practice squad guys. Same thing with McLeod there, whatnot. Or maybe, some of these guys like Barney or Jelani Tavai is also another dude that could end up making the roster, especially if Kaiser starts the season injured. Then I would think Tolavai would end up making the roster early on. They could also let him, cut him and then put him on the practice squad and elevate him since he's a veteran. They don't have to let him go through waivers. And that might be a good play for this football team, too. So keeping an eye on something like that. And that way you're able to keep a Combs or a Abdullah for special teams purposes. Tavai definitely could give you some of that, bringing him up from the practice squad week by week, depending on injuries and whatnot. And he's a solid player and whatnot, especially he's a good blitzer and everything like that. So we'll see how this linebacker room works out. It will take a hit this season. There's no doubt about it. And then going on to the cornerback room, you got Busta Montreg Brown. I love him. Travis Hunter should be playing a lot more corner as they're really a starter this season. Jordan Lewis, you got Jarian Jones. It's a really, really well-rounded room. And I think this one has elite upside as well, especially if Travis Hunter plays more of a full-time role in this cornerback room. Overall, they are loaded here. Rank them at number 16, which is right in the middle of the NFL. You got Jabbar Muhammad competing in here. Braswell has just dealt with a lot of injuries, so I think that may be something that'd be a little troublesome. But I expect him to hit the practice squad, if nothing else. Corey Ballantyne's really struggled in preseason, and really just general, the secondary struggle. Muhammad's got to get better with his tackling ability. He's made some plays in coverage, though, so we'll see how it goes. Either which way, I'm not really worried about this cornerback room, and nor the secondary as a whole. I think their secondary should be pretty sound. You got Antonio Johnson, who had a big season last year, and then Eric Murray's been steady Eddie. He's not an elite safety or anything like that, but he's been really solid. Caleb Ransaw, seen him make some plays in preseason. I think he missed one tackle thus far that I saw, but other than that, he's got some speed. I'll tell you that right now. Jalen Husky, haven't seen him really do anything too crazy, which can be a good thing if you're a safety, right? I mean, you just don't want to get beat, and I haven't seen him get beat. Rayon Lane's made some plays. I've seen him make some good tackles. Now, Cameron Selman Craig, I've seen him struggle, miss some tackles, miss some coverage plays. He's probably going to be more of a practice squad guy for right now. I still rank this room at number 11, which might be a little high. I don't know. I still think they should be pretty good. Antonio Johnson's a heck of a football player, and if he continues to grow and take that next level progression, I don't see why he can't be a top 10 safety this year. And Eric Murray, as I said before, I think we should get a pretty baseline on where he's going to be at right now. So in general, I think the secondary as a whole is pretty good. It just comes down to, can that defensive interior be a defining piece with that linebacking core? Will they be able to stop the run consistently this season? Those are really my biggest questions on the defense side of the ball, and some of the depth. If you start having some injuries, just be looking at the preseason thus far, I feel like they've really struggled on the defense side of the ball. So if they lose some of their starters, I do question at the depth on this roster, and that's going to be one of the reasons why I didn't put them a little bit higher. They have the tools, though. So if they stay healthy, I think this is a championship type of football team, or at least close to that. So we'll see how it all works. I'm certainly rooting for the Duval Nation, the Jaguars, the Prowlers, and whatnot. So, and those new rivalry uniforms looking fire, too. So I hope you guys have a really good day. Let me know what you think about this Jacksonville Jaguars team. Do you think they got the bolts to get it there? And we'll see how it all goes, though. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys here real soon.